Welcome to the Wellness Pulse with Monica Stevens. From CPR to self care, staying in rhythm with your well being. Thanks for tuning in. I have the delight of hearing you talk a little bit about the CPR history and how far we've come. So, Miranda, I'd like you to share a little bit about that with us, okay?
Sure. So in the 1960s, our compressions to ventilations, we were more focused on airway because they thought that ensuring that the person was receiving oxygen was the most important thing. And we were doing a compression to ventilation rate of 15 to 2. And then our rate was between 60 and 80 compressions per minute in the 1960s. And our survival rates were at like a 5.2%. And now that we can show with ILCOR doing educational and evidence-based updates of what is working in our industry and what is not, they have changed things to focus on compressions first. So a B scenario, they have also changed that to a 30 compressions and 2 breaths, and we are compressing at a rate of about 100 to 120, which has increased our survival from a cardiac event to discharge from the hospital to 10.2%.
That is like almost doubling our impact and our reach. We've come a long way because, as you know, we used to do some crazy stuff before we got it figured out.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, you would see things from, in the early 1900s of people dragging people behind a horse and carriage, which now we would consider barbaric, but, it is what they had to work with at the time. So seeing how our survival rates have increased, I think that as we continue to do research on how what we're doing is working and the medications that we're using during a resuscitation, I think that we will see that 10.2% completely increase in the next 10 years.
I agree. I think we're definitely on the right track. That is a very good observation because it does seem like back prior to like 1900, some of our ancient times, it does seem as if we didn't really have any evidence-based practices. We were just kind of winging it and going for, hey, this looks like we got the best success, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you would see in ancient times where people would use shock therapy. They were really ahead of their times, and those being the initial first AED, so to speak, even though there wasn't any science base behind it. It's really cool to see how far we have progressed, and ILCOR has done a great job of investigating the science and investigating, hey, what is working for us? And AHA and HSI and Red Cross have done great with adapting those ILCOR standards so that students that are taking classes, it is relatable to what they're doing, and it makes it a lot easier for them to retain the information and get a great experience while they're taking a class.
That is awesome and very important because we need everyone to be confident in providing those life saving skills. So, when we talk about the life saving skills and teaching CPR and the importance of it, as an instructor and a super educator that you are, why is that important to you?
So, CPR is very close to my heart because I want to remember my why of why I started.
I'm getting up and going, oh, look at me, I was dead, and all this. And the next thing I know, I sat down. I felt a little bit of dizziness. It was just a second. I went, oh, I feel a bit weird, and blackness. So there was no pain, nothing like that. So there's nothing to be scared of. And so I can't tell you what happened while I was out, except for what people told me. I can only say they said that I made noises, and they all thought I was acting. So yeah, all my friends just thought I was acting. And the lady who was doing the CPR course came along and said, what's wrong with her? And she said, oh, that's just Robyn being Robyn. And she said, no, she's purple. So she put me on the floor and started CPR straight away. So I can't say how long I was out for because it took whatever time it was for the people to notice I was not acting. Yes, I laugh about it. And anyway, she said that she was asked regularly, did anyone want to take over? But she said no, she wasn't going to let anyone else do the CPR because she felt that she was the only one in the room capable of doing it properly. And she was, because I don't have any major brain damage or anything like that. They ask you the questions in hospital and I was able to answer all the questions. There's a bit of memory and, that sort of stuff, but that could have happened anyway as aging. But anyway, so what the next thing I remember is waking up with these men above me. So that would have been after they revived me with the AED. So I remember that. And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I need to get up," because I just thought I'd fainted. And he said, "No, ma'am." And I will always remember the no, ma'am is stuck in my head because I'd never been called ma'am before. So I always remember that. Anyway, I actually couldn't get up. And they must have put me out again because I don't remember anything after that until I woke up in the A&E, which is our emergency department. And I do remember I was drenched I was just must have sweated right out. I was just drenched. And I remember saying, I've got a bit of pain, but that would have been my chest, from the ribs. So I had the test and whatnot. And I thought I would be going home thinking that I was just fainted. And I said, I'm really sorry. What happens next? And I thought maybe when he was giving me the medication that I'd had a heart attack. So I must have at some stage said, "Oh, did I have a heart attack?" And he said, "No, you didn't have a heart attack." And they take a blood test to make sure that that's not what causes the cardiac arrest. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have a heart attack. Mine was due to an arrhythmia, which is the heart going into what's called VT. So I thought, oh, okay. So they take you for all the scans and whatnot, and then they take you up to the bed and connect you up. And I could see every time I moved or thought anything, the alarms would all go off. So it takes a few days after that they start medicating you to try and work out what drugs are going to slow your heart down. Mm-hmm. And so gradually they get you to a level they like, and then they sent me for the angiogram and all those sorts of things. And then they said they wanted to put an ICD in, so I just had to wait for that. So wish I had have insisted on it. They never did an MRI because once they put the ICD in, you can't the one I've got anyway, they can't do an MRI now. So I haven't really worked out what damage I have. So that's my story anyway. So once they put that in, they send you home and you just go in regularly for a ICD check. But regularly, and I've seen a cardiologist a couple of times. I've had a couple of echoes, and gradually my heart's healing. And they're just happy that I'm just progressing. And yeah. I have met up with the girl that did the CPR. They wanted to interview us at the St. John's, where they did the thing. So I met up with the girl, and that was quite emotional. Yeah, that was, yeah.
I bet. That was amazing.
Never again. We haven't kept in contact, or because I'm that sort of person. I go, thank you, and brought her a chocolate. We got interviewed by the papers and, all that sort of nonsense. And
staying in rhythm with your well being. Thanks for tuning in.
Good day, Stewart Garnett. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I am doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. Thank you for joining us today to make sure that we are just communicating the importance of learning CPR. So now, you, Mr. Stewart, have had the experience of being a lay rescuer, correct?
I have, yes. Yes, I have. Yes.
Thank you. I'm sure that the person you saved, I'm sure they are thanking you. Would you care to tell us a little bit about that day, how that all happened?
I was walking downtown. I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and walking downtown, and a gentleman about 10 feet in front of me just collapsed and went to cardiac arrest. And I, his girlfriend was freaking out, and it was in front of a bar, like in downtown Winnipeg. It was a dive bar called the Woodbine Bar. His He was going to see his dad there and had the cardiac arrest out front. And then I called 911 and I learned CPR in about 3 minutes. I got the 911 dispatcher was very helpful and guided me through. A gentleman held the phone next to my face so I could hear the dispatcher talking to me while I'm giving the guy CPR. Didn't have to give him mouth to mouth, but I pumped him for about 4 minutes, and then the fire department came and took him away. So it was just good direction from the fire department dispatcher. Just gave me good guidance over the phone, and I think that for anybody, I mean, with all these courses, that for me, it was a crash course. You can't learn any faster than that. And to actually see the gentleman come back out of it, like to have pumped him back to life, was right now. I mean, actually talking to you about it, kind of, it's definitely, it's almost like post emotional stuff. Like, it's crazy. I mean, I know firefighters do it every day, and frontliners do it all the time. But for an individual, just a normal civilian to do it, it kind of gives you like an eye opener on what frontline people do, what you guys, nurses and doctors and EMTs and fire, they do every day. They do that for every day. And so, on an individual basis, it hit home. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
was
think
intense.
I think it would be. I mean, as a nurse who doesn't do CPR every day, but I value learning, and it is, it definitely is emotional for, when you don't do it as often. And I'd like to think that for the people who are still doing it, it's still emotional. But of course, they're probably a little bit more used to, going through it. They're used to experiencing those feelings, but it is pretty heavy. Like, wow, I contributed to saving a life. Like, it was a good day.
Yeah, yeah, the firefighters, they gave me credit and they said it's called a save, which I didn't learn the terminology. Like I saved them, I guess, so they
Yeah.
call it a save. Like if someone wasn't there and he was out, he probably would have died. So just happened to be the right place at the right time. It's crazy how things like that happen. And yeah, I still see his dad once in a while downtown, and he always shakes my hand and gets a little teary eyed. But it's always nice to shake his hand and have him appreciate what I did for his son. So hundred
So you
percent.
had no background, no medical background. You learned in 3 minutes, right?
No medical background, no nothing. Just dispatcher just guided me through and told me how to do it, and I did it. I did what she said, and it's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of exertion, man. It's not easy. That was not easy. He was a bigger guy too, so I mean, I'm thank God I'm a big guy too. I'm 6'5", about 300. So I mean, thank God I had that weight to kind of pump him and give him the 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 strength that I had to do it to get his heart back going again. But yeah, I mean, it was a crash course on CPR right there, and I thought about taking. I mean, I thought about getting certified, but I pretty much know what to do. I mean, like with choking, like I've been a bartender for over 30 years, and I've given the Heimlich maneuver probably 10 times.
Mm.
Like someone choking. you know?
Yeah.
So I know how to do that, like the Heimlich, like I'm big and tall, and thank God I could pick someone up. One was a lady, and I accidentally I broke her rib cage, but like I had to give her a good jolt because she was choking to death and
Right.
she was turning blue. So I guess I've saved somebody else, like with the Heimlich maneuver.
Yeah.
Probably I guess I'd say I shouldn't say seven. It was probably about 7 times I think, but it's enough. So yeah, you learn these kind of things like on the whim, and I mean I feel like yeah, I mean I could go and get certified, but I feel like I know what I could do. I know what to do, like calling 911 and starting compressions and yeah, and I would hope that like a lot of people in the world would do it, because one of the things for me is I'm totally I had a couple of cardiac arrests myself, and I'm kind of apprehensive about getting an IED. I don't really want to. I don't know. I don't know. I'm scared to get it. I don't want to get it. But at the same time, then I hope that, like, for example, like where I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, I can see the hospital from my apartment window, and there's a fire department probably 30 seconds from my apartment. So calling 911, I know they'd be here really fast. But um, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Yep.
So you mentioned that you also have experienced sudden cardiac arrest. So you've been on both sides of the
Yeah.
coin.
The first one, I was at the YMCA playing basketball, and I went to cardiac arrest, and thank God I was in the YMCA where they have an AED. But at the same time, I was also super lucky. There was a firefighter right there. Like that, he was in the parking lot, so I got lucky with that. Then they gave me a shock there, and then I went to the intensive care, and I was in the hospital for about 2 months, and then kind of got my strength back, and then I was just lucky to have the fire department there both times. Like, and I was, yeah, pretty lucky to have that. So and yeah, it's very scary. But like I said, this group, and the sudden cardiac arrest, it's very you know like it can help out with those bad days when you get down. Sometimes, like I get really, like, sometimes PTSD on like what happened to me and how I survived it and how I'm still here, so
Does that make being a rescuer like more emotional, like having known that you went through it? Did that give you any inspiration, or did you think about it afterwards?
being the rescuer and happening so fast that you don't think about it until, like, talking to you right now kind of resonates some emotional, that not emotional, like but it just like what you did as to another human being. You save someone's life. But again, it's what the frontliners do every day. So I mean, with up here in Canada, and I mean, I don't know how it is down there, but the fentanyl crisis is insane here. It's insane.
Thanks again for listening. If you or anyone you know needs to learn CPR, first aid, or a life saving skill, please contact People's Choice CPR and Safety. From CPR to self care, the Wellness Pulse is staying in rhythm with your well being. I'm Monica Stevens. Take care.